All right, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, my name is Rory Wilson. I'm the writer, director, producer, DOP and editor of TERRA.
Hello, I'm Ramin Farahani and I play Father, the lead in TERRA.
Yeah, TERRA is a story about war doctors. It's about a civilian in a conflict zone who, out of desperation, goes into an abandoned school, makeshift hospital with a gun and demands to be helped. And it's all about how a war doctor navigates and negotiates with this man. And as the story unfolds, we sort of, as the audience, we understand why he's done what he's done and what he's fighting for. The catch line for the film is, when survival is everything, morality is the first casualty. So that's sort of what it explores.
The father, he's basically the guy who will do anything to get out alive. But he's also carrying the burden of looking after his daughter. He's basically having to do the one thing that he would never ever want to do in his life. He was initially just a humble English teacher, teaching the English language, quite happy, living his simple little life. And now he's being asked to do unthinkable things to make sure that he and his daughter get across the border in one piece.
Excuse me, Dr. Bassi. Dr. Bassi, is he here? He's here?
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest challenge was trying to find a level of authenticity within the film. The story is inspired by various secondhand accounts. Managed to spend a lot of time talking to combat medics, and in particular a young man from northern Iraq, Rukar Ghani, who kind of came on board as like a sort of consultant, and he brought a lot of his lived experiences into the story, and he was there every day, and actually his sister ended up playing the lead role alongside Ramin. As an independent film, very limited resources, everyone was wearing multiple hats, everyone was doing various different roles that you usually have like a team for. My gaffer, Alex Gunton, a phenomenal job with what started with one light, became two, and then we added 2 LED panels. And the look of the film is, I'm so happy with it. Such a sort of almost stylized, heightened reality, shaping the light. My co-producer Finn Wilson, who was sort of like our foot soldier on set. Such a small, mighty team, but such an ambitious story we're trying to tell, and I think we're really happy with how it came out.
Find the bloods and bring them. Quickly! I told you they are. Yeah, go get them first. Alright, yeah, I'll get the oxygen, that'll be great. Keep going. Quickly, everyone this way! Everyone now!
It really was an ambitious story. When I came on board, I don't think it was until I arrived on set, months after the audition and the whole process, that Rory told me this is actually based on a true story, or at least it's based on true events. These things actually happened, so-and-so actually came in one day. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but certain things happened, that's what you'll be doing. And I was a little bit shocked because until that point, I thought, I just wasn't expecting that. And so it's a huge, ambitious story. I had the privilege almost to kind of see the shots every now and then after certain shots. If we had time, I could, sort of have a little peek. And I couldn't believe the difference between what was in front of camera and what was behind it. I mean, beautiful, cinematic. I couldn't wait to see it on a big screen.
I mean, they have a Raindance Maverick Award. I love the idea of like being a sort of a maverick filmmaker, sort of a little bit rogue, breaking some rules, cutting some corners. On paper, this film really should have been impossible to make with such limited resources. And what's funny is when I first sent the script to my cast, I was really sort of conscious that they would be looking at it and then they'd show up and realize like how small this production was going to be and how were we going to fulfill this script, which sort of like had such a scale to it. And so what's funny is every so often what I would do is I'd try and show some of the shots, and like we did a few different blocks of filming, and after a block of filming I'd always put together a list of shots just to show them like we are creating this world, we are sort of we are fulfilling the script, because really when you're there, you look just beyond the camera and it's, you know, it's just a school, you know. We actually managed to get an old abandoned school, and we sort of set dressed the whole thing and turned it into this makeshift underground hospital. I was shooting the film myself as well, so like I was able to be right in the action with the actors, and there's such an immediacy and intimacy with my cast, even sort of directing mid-take, which I don't know, how was that?
It worked, because the film is, from the start to the end, it is high octane. It's almost shot like a real-time drama, you know, what happens in a makeshift hospital in a war zone. You know, like those mad, you know, intense reality TV shows. It had a kind of intensity to it, and it was unrelenting. Like the energy never dropped. So shooting in that style, it lent itself so well to the story, to the energy that it required. We had to be on. And if we kind of had to do another take and we're still sweating it out, Rory's right there, you know, like right next to us. Okay, let's do this. We're on again. Whatever it was, it just kept us just pumped up right to the bitter end, you know. And I think whether it was planned or not, that's what it required. You know, we're not shooting a Regency drama where we have like long down takes. This was really pumped up, high adrenaline stuff, and yeah, it kind of knocked me out a bit, but it was good. I think a good script will always, a good story will always pose a strong question. And I think in this case, it's simply, well, what would you do in this situation? And that's always a strong question to present to an audience. What would you do if such and such, you were undergoing this and you had to get there? And what if that wasn't an option? Then what? What if that door's closed? Then what? And that's a kind of urgency that was, you know, prevalent throughout the whole film. And yeah, like Rory touched on, there was a definite grey moral area with the main character as well, where some of his actions are definitely dubious and questionable. But a part of you has to think, maybe he can be forgiven for such and such. And if the story can keep the audience's sense of morality on that kind of teetering on that line, back and forth, yeah, it's quite beautiful. I think that makes a good story.
Any advice? Do you have any immediate advice?
You kick off, son. I think you've got loads of advice to give. Been doing it for a while.
In terms of writing, probably write the film that you really want to make. Sometimes there's this advice which is sort of like, just do whatever, you know, just make things, keep making things, good, bad, ugly, just keep making things. And I was thinking about this, and I was talking about this with Finn, my co-producer, and I thought, I think I've learned the most when I've tried to overreach and try and do something so entirely ambitious. And in the process of doing that, I've been forced to learn all of this new stuff and carry the weight and the pressure of trying to make something you're really proud of. And that process, you end up learning so much more. And it's not just about finishing the film. It's about kind of like understanding what it really takes. Because ultimately, I don't want to be like a hobby filmmaker, you know, I want to be a professional filmmaker. And so I would say, like, make the film you want to make, you know. But in terms of production, like filmmaking and production, I think it's this thing about only make decisions when you are feeling extremely confident, and have the courage to stick with those decisions when all the doubt creeps in and when you start second guessing everything. And like, don't make any decisions when you're in that headspace. I honestly think that, because, you know, in process of making TERRA, I would have to psych myself up to make an absolute commitment to it. And then immediately after, you just start worrying about every single thing, but you've already made the commitment. And that commitment might just be making an email. It might be buying the camera we're going to shoot on. It's just making that commitment and then just try and stick with it, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty solid advice. I mean, but also I'd add to that, more from an acting perspective, but I'm sure it could be applied to writing, directing. Find your tribe. You know, don't do the thing you do in isolation. With acting especially, which I've been doing for 10 odd years now. As I moved more and more into acting as a profession, I realized the need to be joining groups, whether it's just, you know, like a weekly training group, rehearsals, classes, whatever, whatever it is, you got to find the people who are just as excited about the thing as you are, because being around them, whether it's at this festival, Raindance, whether it's in a small studio space, a basement, you do your line run every Tuesday afternoon after work, it really keeps you connected to the work. You feed off each other's energy, that buzz, and it makes you want to go home and just like do more scenes or write more things and just make more things together. The collaborative spirit is alive and well, and that's more important than ever in independent filmmaking. So yeah.
What a way to end it. That was
Hey.
perfect.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to interview you today. And I hope
Thanks for
you
having
enjoy
us.
the rest of your time at the festival.
Thank you from Team TERRA. Woo! Awesome. Thank you guys.